what a flight. Thank you, gentlemen.
It's a candy man.
Now, let me introduce to you three of the members of the band Journey. First of all, the lead singer, Mr. Steve Perry. Founding member and bass player Ross Valerie, and the band's newest member, the keyboard player, Mr. Jonathan Cain. John Cain. Gentlemen. What a night, huh?
What a night.
I want to ask you about the album, but I'm really curious about opening for the Rolling Stones, the concerts up in Buffalo and down in Philadelphia, and the feelings that you had doing that, and you're probably the only group that could open for the Rolling Stones, and how it felt and the crowd reaction and just that whole thing.
It was really interesting because, let's face it, there's a Rolling Stone crowd there.
Yep.
They're waiting to see the Stones. They're there very early. Some were camped out all night. I think we got a great response. It was difficult, though, because it's definitely a Stones crowd. You can see it in their eyes. They're saying, "No, we like you very much, but where's Mick and the boys?"
Was there an impatience like, hey, you guys are great and everything, but let's get on to the main event?
I don't think so. I thought they were pretty patient, being that we were put on the shows very late in the game, and we certainly weren't selling the tickets there, and we were treated well.
The first night was crazy because the fans had been there all night, and it was a sort of a historical moment for the first show, you know.
In how many years it's been?
3, 4?
Something like that.
I think so, yeah.
4 years, I think. And, you know, it was like they were camped out in throngs, and so they were a bit impatient for anything else but to see Mick. Like, you know, and the second show and the third show were real good because that was just, people just came that day. It wasn't camp out, you know.
This album, Escape, which I think has sold 2 million records already and is still going, and has sold far better than all the albums that you made back there on the trail with Tom Mix and Zane Grey and John Wayne and all those people. But this one has caused the sale of all the albums that are back there on the trail. They are now having a resurgence of their own. Have you figured out yet what it is about this album that has made it the tremendous success and has reawakened the interest in the other albums that you have made?
Well, in actuality, all the albums have gone platinum, and in fact, some of the Captured album just went double platinum, and Evolution just went double platinum, and as this one just went double platinum, but this one has helped the rest of those groups too. The resurgence, well,
The sound, for one thing, I think it has made a lot of difference in the success of Escape beyond the success of the other albums. I think we had a good production combination for once, and there's bass guitar, and there's all sorts of things on the album that haven't been heard before.
bass guitarist.
And we have, of course, a new songwriter who's playing a major part in the band, Jonathan Cain, and between he and Steve and Neil, who are doing the major amount of writing, I think we've got a really good combination, and there's more lyrical depth, I think, to the album.
Any group that does anything for an extended period of time, more than 5 years, we'll say, whether it's a television production company, a band, people who sell insurance, whatever, they become like a family. Every now and again, as in all families, you have to ask a member to leave the family because there is something of a problem. How do you handle that? How do you get around that without hurting feelings or destroying the original premise of, in this case, your music? You know what I'm saying? How you find the new people. How does it evolve?
Each circumstance.
Well, why are you answering? He's one of the founding founders.
Oh, like I said. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Somebody walk in.
Drop my wife, please. Well, that's a difficult thing to do, you know, when you ask people to...
How do you can a guy is what I want to know, you know?
Ooh. Well, you say, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
And you try and do it diplomatically. We've had one person leave who we had to ask to leave, and we had another person leave who simply retired, and that was the person that Jonathan replaced. Greg Raleigh, having been on the road for 15 years and been through 2 major acts with Santana and Journey. And so that was a more comfortable type of leaving. In fact, he chose Jonathan in many respects as his successor.
We were touring together.
Asking someone to leave is difficult to do. And in our case, we try to make it comfortable, equitable, and fair.
Now, which of you in the band is the one who has the tape recorder that records all of the... Somebody in your band records all the stuff off stage. Who is the one that does that?
What do you mean?
Video?
No, I'm told that you have that you record things off stage, that you keep kind of a tape diary of the activities of the band.
That's me.
Behind the scenes, so to speak.
I've got a little JVC tape machine, and it's always on at rehearsals, and I keep a sort of a log. I found that if you keep records of what you do, sometimes, and you say, well, what was that we were doing yesterday? And I like to try to keep track of everything, and I'll come up.
But
with
it's not a tape recorder that you would have when you guys are having a glass of Kool-Aid or a cup of coffee or out playing around or something like that, where you would have tapes that you would want to sell back to members of the band.
No blackmail.
To save their family
No
lives.
blackmail.
Speaking to my pencil.
Not that secret.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you for being here, and you changed your program on short notice because of the events of the day and the music that was a little bit more suitable, and I appreciate that, and you've been great to work with my people all afternoon. I appreciate that. Steve Perry, Ross Valerie, and John Kane. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, John. We'll be right back to